Hello, everyone. Welcome to this class, English Morphology. Today, I'm going to present the first materials for the class, English Morphology. Okay, let's start with the definitions of morphology. As you may already know from the last semester that morphology is a subfield of study that exists in two main fields of study, such as biology and linguistics. And here in this class, we are concerned with morphology within the field of linguistics. Okay, now let's see the definitions of this word morphology. Okay, I provide two definitions here. The first definition says morphology is the study of word formation processes, and the second one says it is the study of the internal structure of words. Okay, and these two definitions are usually used by linguists to define the word morphology or the field of morphology. And what do these definitions have in common? These two definitions, clearly explain that morphology is concerned with word level analysis. And that's what we are going to do for the rest, to deal with for the rest of the semester. And what does the field of morphology intend to achieve? Okay, what do we study English morphology? And one objective is that we study morphology, English morphology, in order to understand the so-called morphological competence. Uh, what it means by morphological competence is that it is some kind of tacit knowledge that allows speakers to understand and use particular words accurately in sentences. Okay, um, just to give you a concrete idea of what it means, I provide here several examples. The examples here all concerned with the use of morpheme re in English, which usually means to do something again, such as reload and rebuild. Okay, reload means to load again, and rebuild means to build again. Okay, but as these examples show, although morpheme re is usually used with particular verbs to mean that the verbs, the actions is performed again, it shows that the use of re cannot be used with all verbs. So the use of morpheme re is applicable only with particular verbs, but not with all verbs, such as re-sleep. It does not mean to sleep again. Re-eat. It does not mean to eat again. And finally, repeat, right? High frequency word repeat is usually used by many speakers of English. It does not mean to repeat again, right? So based on these examples, all right, English speakers who have good command of English language and by implications have already developed morphological competence. They know how to use re, right? How to use re, what words, what verbs that are applicable with the use of morpheme re, and what verbs that are not applicable to be used with morpheme re. Okay, so I have already mentioned morphemes, right? And I have already mentioned words. But what do we mean by morphemes and words? Okay, although you may still remember the definition of these two from the last semester, but let's have a look at this again. So I provide the definition of the two taken from Lieber 2009. Lieber says that morpheme is the smallest unit of language that has its own meaning, all right? And a word is defined as one or more morphemes that can stand alone in a language. Okay, based on the previous example, the use of morpheme re, we know that re has meaning, especially when it is attached to particular words, right? Reload, rewatch, re, re, redo, okay, rework, rebuild. So the word re, when it is attached to appropriate verbs, appropriate words, it has meaning. At least it provides additional meaning the to the stem or the root or the basic word, right? But what about words? So word is one or more morphemes that can stand alone in a language, meaning that it has meaning, although it is not used. It is not used in a complete sentence. Like for example, go, do, and watch, right? So based on these two definitions, you may now see that what constitutes a word must constitute a morpheme, but what constitute a morpheme does not necessarily constitute a word, right? Okay, okay, okay. You may already be familiar with the with this diagram. You may still remember it from the last semester when you took uh, Introduction to Linguistics. Here we see that morphemes may be divided into two broad categories. The first is free morphemes, and the second one is bound morphemes, right? And again, free morpheme is may be divided, okay, free morphemes might further be divided into two categories. The first, the first is called open class or content words, and the second one is closed class or functional words. For open class or the content word, it includes all words that belongs to this part of speech, the verb, nouns, adjectives, and adverbs, right? And for closed class or functional words, all words that belongs to this part of speech, conjunctions such as and or, prepositions such as in, at, from, pronouns, articles, auxiliary, demonstrative, comparative, and quantifiers, right? So you may have a question, what is the difference between open class and closed class? Open class are basically, these two may be distinguished in terms of the number of words that belongs to each of this part of speech. You know that verb, it compasses a large number of words. The same case with noun, adjectives, and adverbs. So there are a lot of words that belongs to verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, in English or in any other languages, right? But for closed class, for the closed class word, it only includes a limited number of words, right? So there are not many, there are not many for, say, pronouns. So English and other languages have only a certain number, a limited number of words that belong to prepositions, pronouns, articles, and so on and so forth. So the number of the words that belong to each of these, each of functional words is quite limited, I would say, right? Okay, now what about bound morphemes? Bound morphemes again can be divided into three. The first is affixes, the second one is bound basis, and the third one is constructed form, right? And here are the examples of each. You may say affixes. Again, you may see that affixes may further be divided into two types, derivational and inflectional, and may further be, for derivational morphemes, may further be divided into two, that is prefixes and suffixes. But in Indonesians, derivational morphemes might be divided into three, that is prefixes, infixes, and suffixes. But for English, it only covers prefixes and suffixes. Okay, I'll explain in more detail later as we go um, forward with this course in the next meeting probably. Okay, for now, this is also important to understand, to to give you a background knowledge for further study in this course, and that is tokens, types, and lexemes. Okay, before I give the definition of each of these, let's consider the following sentence. And the sentence taken for the example, is taken from Liber 2009, page 4. Okay. The sentence says, my friend and I walk to class together because our classes are in the same building and we dislike walking alone. Okay. And there is a question here, okay, that you need to answer. The question says, how many words do you think are there in the sentence? Okay. And to help you answer these questions, you may pause the video for a moment. You may count the number of words and try to come up with an answer. All right. Okay. You may pause it now. All right. Let's continue. Well, if you try to find the answer for the questions, okay, you may come up with different different answers. Okay? I mean, depending on how you conceptualize and how you understand what constitutes a word, the first answer may be like 21, right? For the answer to the questions, you may find it. You may find the answer for the question is 21. But some others may find the answer to the question is 20 for the number of words that occur in the sentence. And finally, some others may find the answer to be 16. Okay. Well, all of these answers are correct depending on how you conceptualize and how you count words in this sentence. Okay, the basic explanation is this. When your answer is 21, meaning that you count every single word that occurs in the sentence, right? You consider that every single word that exists here that occur in the sentence, you count it. But if your answer is 20, meaning that you only consider word types, the previous one is word token, but the second one is word types. What it means by word type is that you only count the unique words that occur in the sentence. What I mean by unique word is that distinct words, but for the same word, you count it as one. Okay, so here, for example, we have to and. Okay, if you consider word token, you count it as one, meaning that you count every single word that exists that occur in the sentence, right? But if you consider type, you don't consider it, you do not consider it as two, but you consider it as one only, right? So you count this as one. The same words are counted as one. And what is interesting is when we consider lexeme. Lexeme is words that belong to the same family. So if you consider any word that belongs to the same family, regardless of the difference in their grammatical forms as one, then you consider lexeme. For example, here we have my and I. Both of these, although they are different, say, words, they belong to the same grammatical category, right? So these are the example of pronouns, right? For my is possessive pronoun and I is subject pronoun, right? And the other ones we have class and classes, right? These two are different in terms of their grammatical category or grammatical forms, but they are from the same family or from the same grammatical category. Class and classes are different only in terms of whether it is singular or plural, but they are just, we can say that they are just the same word. And we also have here walk and walking. Okay, walk and walking, you may consider as the same lexical item that are different only in terms of their grammatical forms. The first is, we can say that it is infinitive, and the second one is progressive form, right? But you may consider it as one lexical item. So if you consider lexical item, if you consider lexical item as in counting the number of words, then your answer will be 16. All right. Okay. I hope that all of these explanations are pretty clear for you to, to develop some background knowledge for this course. And I'll see you again in the next video. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.